This is Stephen Donziger, and this is the story of how he faced one of the most powerful companies in the world. Donziger is a political activist and lawyer who, after taking a trip to Ecuador, reported that Texaco, now Chevron, had been dumping thousands of gallons of oil and wastewater into the delicate Amazon River. This devastated the surrounding wildlife and destroyed the food, homes, and livelihoods of hundreds of residents. But as Donziger dove deeper into the case, what Texaco claimed to be 17 million gallons ended up being 19 billion gallons of oil. This waste had leaked from unlined drainage pits that Texaco had left behind. The toxic black sludge mixed with the river water that every living thing in the Amazon depended on. Naturally, the poorest residents could not leave and almost immediately began dying and getting sick. In the region, 16 of 20 babies are born with life-threatening birth defects. Terminal cancer is common in toddlers. Donziger was finally able to get a trial started in Ecuador. However, Chevron was not committed to spending $1 on fixing the crimes they had dumped on the indigenous Amazonians. In Chevron's words, "We'll fight until hell freezes over, and then fight it on the ice." Hundreds of trial motions by Chevron's lawyers attempted to stall the trial in perpetuity with the goal of bankrupting Donziger and his prosecution. Chevron is guilty of committing environmental genocide in Ecuador and around the globe, and if they were found guilty, it would not only undermine their parasitic business model, but also set an example. Chevron and companies like them go into undeveloped, naturally rich countries and extract every last penny, leaving destruction and death behind, without any intention of sharing profits or paying for their crimes. They privatize profits and socialize the costs, and those in poverty suffer every time. After more than a decade, Donziger was able to win in Ecuadorian court. However, the $9 billion that Chevron was forced to pay in 2011 has never been seen by the Ecuadorian government or the indigenous peoples. This is why Chevron, in their mind, cannot lose. They would rather spend billions on lawyers and a PR firm because if they paid, it would set off a ripple effect that would cost them trillions of dollars as people around the world stood up for their environmental rights and took legal action against a previously untouchable entity. In 2019, Chevron sued Donziger for damages, and with help from 2 corrupt New York judges, were successful. For his efforts in bringing justice to those residents of Ecuador, Donziger was placed on house arrest and would, for the next 953 days, be detained in his own apartment for not handing over his personal computer to Chevron lawyers. Meaning that yet again, Chevron would not only get away with it, but make sure that anyone who spoke up about it regretted it. Donziger is a human rights lawyer detained in an American city by American judges representing an American company and its destruction of land in another country. His attempt to bring environmental justice does not just go against Chevron's interests, but the interests of those who hold power in the United States government, who fear more than anything of losing the power and control they hold over the people and natural resources around the world. If the fossil fuel industry continues to have power and influence over our lives, there will no longer be a planet for us to live. In America, we may think that the climate crisis is still far away, but this is not 10 years ago. The most impoverished people around the world, those living in South America, Africa, and the Middle East, have been and will continue to fight every day for their lives against what Western powers have taken from them and continue to subjugate them to. The most vulnerable communities are the ones facing pollution and the climate crisis right now. Not 1 week ago, Donziger was finally freed from his house arrest. Chevron still hasn't paid $1 to the people of Ecuador. To help Donziger and those fighting similar missions, you can visit his website.